We're just figuring out what location can do. It's been enabled by the iPhone, Android, and all the other app phones that are out there. So in this next panel, we're going to talk with 3 kind of insurgents in the market and figure out where location is going and how you can use it. First up, I'd like to welcome out the CEO of Yelp. They were once known just for local reviews, but they're now getting into check-ins, and daily deals. Please welcome out co-founder and CEO Jeremy Solomon. Secondly, I'd like to welcome out the CEO of Shopkick. They are a mobile rewards app and working with a lot of big box retailers. Please welcome out Syriac Roden. And finally, in the location gold rush, you wouldn't really have a gold rush if someone wasn't selling jeans and pickaxes. Please welcome out the CEO of Simple Geo, a former Geek Squad employee, and seller of location services, Matt Gallagher. You have to find the worst picture in the world. You can thank Robert Stevens, the founder of Geek Squad, for that favor. He just wishes he could be here for that. So, well, let's just start with Best Buy. You have a deal with Best Buy Syriac. You used to work at Best Buy, Matt. And your users rate Best Buy.
I used to work at a computer city.
You used to work at a computer. A rival to Best Buy.
A rival to Best Buy. They didn't make it. Maybe it was my fault.
Well, maybe, how can Best Buy use location technology? Why does the CTO of Best Buy care about location?
What are you asking? How did you start out since then? So, if you look at it from a retailer perspective, the number one problem for every physical retailer, if you ask them and you said, okay, so if everybody who owns a store in America had to agree on the same challenge, and they all had to say, this is my number one problem, the answer is like you get, is getting foot traffic. In other words, getting people through the door. And why is that? Because the conversion rates in the physical retail world are really good. Online, you're getting about 0.5% to 3% conversion. Offline, it's about 20 to 95%, depending on the category of retail. So in fashion, it's about 20. That's the lowest. That is already 6 or 10 times higher than the online one. In electronics, 40 to 60. And in groceries, it's 95. And in quick service restaurants, probably 99%, because it's unlikely that you go to McDonald's and figure out you're not hungry. So in other words, getting them through the door is the key. Now, if that's so important, then how do you do that? And what are the tools that are available to you to get people to walk in and actually see it? And from a consumer perspective, it's also highly valuable because so far, when you walk into a store, how often do you feel treated really well? How often do you feel treated like a VIP? That was probably 100 years ago when they knew you. Today, when do they find out that it's you? It's the moment when you're leaving. It's when you use your credit card, you slide it. You could call it the first possible worst moment. Because you just slid your credit card, you cannot add one more item to the basket. And that's when they look at you and say, hi Brady, how are you today? And then you say, I'm doing good, thank you. And they say, bye. So that's obviously not really ideal. So what if you could actually flip that on its head and welcome people as they come into the store? And that's exactly what location technology can do, not with GPS, but with other technologies.
And is that where check-ins come in? Is that what you're seeing, Jeremy?
I think check-ins represent a great opportunity, especially for some of these big brands. We've seen some of these things with Groupon when they do deals and drive people in with an incredible deal with the Gap thing. There's also check-in deals, which Facebook recently did. Free jeans also Gap related. And then for us, we've actually announced that we have a check-in deals product that's launching soon. And I think it's a fantastic way to drive people into the door and know that they're actually coming because you do have GPS, you can recognize it. I mean, there's obviously a difference with your product where they're walking in the door and then the phone buzzes, but still checking in and getting that feedback and knowing that something you did, a marketing campaign that you did, has led to actual customers walking in the door. And you can, of course, then incent them to have the same behavior, whether it's purchase jeans or if you
want to promote certain merchandise. And so I think what you'll see is, especially with these national chains, that's going to be a new interesting marketing channel because there's real feedback. It's not just this promise of spend money with us and maybe customers will come in the door. Now it's moving to spend money with us and we will prove to you that customers have come in the door. And that closes the loop. If you think about what was the critical thing that made AdWords very successful for Google, it was that suddenly someone that's selling flat screen televisions online knows that they bought an ad, they could track that user, came to their site, and then know exactly how much that person spent. And as we get closer and closer to closing that loop from the online world, I find a local business, I walk in the door, I know that they made a purchase, so they actually came in and there was a 20% likelihood of them making a purchase. That's really the holy grail for local, and I think that de-risks the advertising for the local business or for the national chain. And that means they get to pour money into the channel because suddenly it's not, hey, let's spend, for a national chain, let's spend millions of dollars and see what happens. It's not, let's spend millions of dollars and look, we got positive return on that. So that's very exciting. I think that's generally where we're headed from an advertising standpoint.
How do you think retailers are going to use location 2 years from now? Assuming that consumers actually start to adopt this.
So, we live in a culture of immediacy these days. Like, you have to get stuff right now. Like, you go to a fast food place and you expect that within 1 minute you're going to have an entire meal set in front of you. And I think location can be used in such a way of connecting the, say, back ends of inventory management and things like that to where things are nearby. So, for instance, we'll go back to the example of Best Buy. They actually have an API that can track real-time inventory of the stores that are nearby. Now, if you couple something with like a solution like we could provide, which is proximity, what stores are nearby, and things like that, then you'd be able to start building apps that say, what stores are nearby. And not only am I trying to find that out, but I'm trying to find out, okay, I need a black iPod Nano. What's the nearest store that has that specific item? And then I go there. So rather than the old mentality of wasting time of walking into a store and being disappointed that that item is actually not there because it just sold out an hour ago, I can pull up my phone, I can use these locational services to say, where am I? And is this item available nearby? And that does work kind of on the global brand, the national brand, the Best Buy type of scenarios. But I think that as technology becomes easier to use and these back-end infrastructures start getting commoditized, that you'll find that even the boutique retailers will have that opportunity as well.
Yep. Just last week I saw a company demoed up in Seattle called Fuse Rewards, and it's basically an iPad app for casinos to manage the big gamblers, the whales, so they can track send Jimmy Joe a Maker's Mark and he likes chicken wings. And then they can track how they're dealing with their customers in a very high-touch industry. Do you see that happening with Best Buy? Like I walk in and, Brady just bought a CD. Well, no. Brady bought a CD player like 10 years ago. Probably needs a new one.
Maybe not the gambling part, but what will happen, I think, is that everything is about you. And in the past, a lot of it was about the store. And that's about you. And the cell phone is basically, imagine it to be like a personal interactive ID card. And as you walk into the store, things happen. What if you could turn an offline store into an interactive world? The trick is you got to know when they walk in. That's the key when the dialogue begins. But then after that, you inside the store, how often do you find someone who really knows what you're looking for and can explain to you? The cell phone is basically, the smartphone is your interactive device for that. And why would you carry around, if you asked an 18-year-old, how many loyalty cards would you like to carry in your wallet? What do you think they would answer? Which wallet? Because they probably don't have one. So turning this from a plastic card into a two-way dialogue and interaction in the store is the next step. Making the store interactive, holding it over a DVD, and immediately the trailer of the DVD starts playing. And so turn the entire experience into a personalized experience and make offers that matter to you based on the CD player you bought 10 years ago.
So how are we being helped? Like, what's holding us back from this interactive playground? Jeremy?
I think part of it is a technology issue. So first, we shop there as a solution, but you still then have a physical device that you have to plant in thousands of stores to detect that. I mean, GPS is helpful, and I think it's driving us there. So you know, you can have check-ins. You can use that to drive loyalty, track the number of check-ins, provide offers if people reach certain thresholds. But you know, to actually get a physical device in the millions of local businesses that are out there and then turn that into something difficult, it is a huge hurdle. And so maybe there's other solutions that will get us there faster. Could be that the resolution of GPS gets really, really good over the next few years. But I think the technology is the key challenge for now.
Do you think NFC is going to help us out?
NFC?
Near field communication?
I mean,
what Eric Schmidt demoed on Monday.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think again, you've got a technology thing, so you have to drive adoption for that. And so it's going to take time, and it remains to be seen. What device or what technology is going to be prevalent everywhere. And so right now we're just starting out with nothing. And so you have to work with fairly primitive tools, but we'll see what drives adoption.
I think there are some major barriers that maybe we aren't thinking about, because we do certainly live in this bubble of, oh my God, everything is great and everything is possible. But what sometimes we have to go back and realize is that the same Best Buy that's carrying some of this technology, is being provided from an outside source. But guess what? Every POS or point of sale that you go and swipe your card at after you're done shopping is running Windows 95. We just have to realize that sometimes there are going to be whole aspects of industries that, while we can run as fast as possible and try and make this stuff happen, there's so much of the world that still has to catch up to make these things meet, so that we can eventually get to that world of everything is great. But there's still a lot of technology that's going to hold us back for at least a little while longer.
And just to fill everyone in, basically, Sarah, could you hold that up? So what Shopkick does is they send out these boxes, and it's a silent tone, and if you're running the Shopkick app, when you walk in to the store, it will immediately place you there, and you're rewarded for that. And it's dealing with the problem of indoor positioning. You don't know, your phone doesn't necessarily know that you're there. You can do false check-ins, and this way it's validated. So it's kind of a, maybe not a stopgap solution, because we're going to be stuck with GPS for the near future for location.
And the problem we were trying to solve, actually, we didn't build the company around the technology. We built the technology around the company because we had to. Because the idea was, we asked a simple question. If foot traffic is the #1 problem of every physical retailer, then why does nobody ever reward anybody for visiting a store? Why only for purchases? What if you could pay, like you pay Google for click traffic? What if you could pay Shopkick for foot traffic? But in order to do that, you would have to change the behavior of the user. Because what the retailer is really interested in is not just that you tell your friends where you are. The retailer wants an incremental visit, one visit. How do you do that? If you want to change behavior, you provide an incentive. So we created a rewards program for walking in. The first one where you just walk in and says, welcome to Target. You just got 75 $. Welcome to Macy's. You just got 60 $. And in order to do that, you need to know super accurately where you are, because it's unlikely that the chief marketing officer of a retailer wants to pay you for being in the parking lot, or worse, next door at a competitor store. And so the accuracy of GPS on cell phones is about 50 to 1,000 yards. And when you open the app up at first, when it starts trying to get a fix, it's about 500 yards on average. So that means you know on which block the person is on, which vicinity, that the user is in the vicinity, but you don't know that they're present. And in order to do that, we developed this device that's based on the inaudible audio signal, and it works without GPS inside malls and so on. But it was required, not because we thought it was a great idea at first. We needed to do it, and now it's deployed in 1,000 stores.
So now